Let me begin by saying, and I think you mentioned this in your earlier comments, that as a nation we are making progress in a number of areas, and we should be very proud of the progress that we're making. Rhode Island now becomes the 10th state to approve gay marriage. Vermont did it a number of years ago. We take it for granted now that we have an African-American president of the United States. 20 or 30 years ago, Tom, you and I would never have believed that that would have happened in our lifetime. We're making progress in that area. We're seeing more and more women being elected to national office in the Senate and the House, state legislatures. And while the assaults against women's right to choose continues and intensifies, and another area in terms of occupational opportunities, political leadership, women are making real progress. So there's a lot of good news out there. I think what we should be mindful of is that while that is happening, there is some bad news. And the bad news centers on the fact that economically, as a nation, we are in many respects moving in exactly the wrong way. And that is that study after study continues to tell us that the middle class is shrinking. People on the top are doing phenomenally well. And unemployment is not really at the official 7.6% level, but is much closer to 14% if you count those people who have given up looking for work and are working part-time. Just the other day, the Pew Research Center came out with a report in terms of distribution of wealth, where they said that between 2009 and 2011, all of the new wealth generated in this country during that period went to the top 7%, while the bottom 93% of Americans saw a net reduction in their wealth. So all of the new wealth went to the people in the top 7%. What we know is between 2009 and 2011, all of the new income went to the top 1%. All the new income generated went to the top 1%. So we are looking at a situation where Wall Street and large corporations are in many ways experiencing record-breaking profits, while tens and tens and tens of millions of families, people listening to this show right now, are trying to figure out how they're going to fill up their gas tank, the amount of money that they need to fill up their gas tank to get to work, how they're going to pay for their kid to go to the dentist, how they can afford to send their kids to college, in some cases, how they're going to pay the rent or the mortgage or feed their families. So on one hand, as a nation, in terms of social issues, we're making some progress. On the other hand, in terms of economic issues, we are in many ways losing ground, and in my view, moving to an oligarchic form of society where a few people on the top have incredible wealth and incredible power, while the people at the bottom have neither. One of the issues that we are working on right now is the issue of trying to end the sequestration. And we're seeing the problems of sequestration being manifested now in air travel because we have to furlough some of the air control people, meaning delays in flights. But it's not only air traffic. It is kids being thrown off of the Head Start program, people losing very basic benefits, cutbacks in unemployment insurance, and so forth and so on. The solution, in my view, to that issue is to end sequestration, which everybody acknowledges is a terrible way to do deficit reduction, and in fact move toward an agreement on the budget, which must include substantial new revenue coming from large corporations who today, in some cases, do not pay a nickel in taxes. I was on the floor yesterday just talking about some of these companies. Let me give you and the listeners just a few examples of some of the outrages that currently exist within our tax system. Just a few. Bank of America. Now, you remember our friends at Bank of America, we bailed them out 5 years ago. In 2010, Bank of America set up more than 200 subsidiaries in the Cayman Islands to avoid paying U.S. taxes. What do we think about that? Large, profitable Wall Street firm, 200 subsidiaries in the Cayman Islands, don't pay any taxes. And not only in recent years did they not pay any federal income taxes, but they received a rebate from the IRS worth $1.9 billion. J.P. Morgan Chase in 2010, J.P. Morgan Chase operated 83 subsidiaries incorporated in offshore tax havens to avoid paying $4.9 billion in U.S. taxes. Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, General Electric, during the last 5 years, GE made $81 billion in profits. Not only did they avoid paying federal income taxes during these years, they received a tax rebate of $3 billion. How's that? Pretty good deal?
Good work if you can get it.
Good. And these guys, of course, all of these huge multinational corporations, Wall Street firms, have hundreds of well-paid accountants to figure out ways that these guys can avoid paying taxes. And then on the other hand, they have spending billions of dollars collectively in lobbying to make sure that these loopholes exist. Bottom line here is that before we cut Social Security, as some people want to do, cut programs and benefits for disabled vets, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, education, nutrition programs, before we do those things, I think it makes a little bit more sense to end the absurdity of 1 out of 4 corporations pay nothing in taxes and end these loopholes by which these large, very profitable multinationals avoid paying anything, and in some cases actually getting rebates from the IRS. So that is one of the issues that we are focusing on right now. As I think many listeners know, the immigration bill is going to come to the floor probably in another week. I am a strong believer that we have got to grant the path towards citizenship for those people in this country now, but I do worry about the guest worker program and flooding this country with low-wage workers at a time when wages are going down for American workers.